You can ask people questions directly themselves.
Yes, sir. All right. Excuse me. Well, this is just like changing channels. I was sort of attuned to the political aspects that goes on in Latin America, and you bring me back to reality. About inflation and so forth. We just have inflation. In our economic development in Mexico, there was one overall priority which has been achieved. This is, of course, let's talk about other fields that are difficult to curb and control. One of the original priorities was to create jobs. Probably remember early in the Mexican administration, there was talks of things said about the wave of Mexican crossing the border, coming to get jobs in the United States, about the escape valve for the political inequalities in Mexico, like and blocking the United States, and consequently, the policies about immigration could be just left dormant, so that Mexico would not find itself in the turmoil of perhaps social change and revolution. Well, with the discovery of the oil wells, and with a tremendous inflow of money coming from loans, becoming the state of oil, and all that, main priority has been to create jobs. This we have accomplished. For the first time in the history of Mexico, we were producing more jobs than the actual number of people coming of age to ask for those jobs. So we actually have been eating into the backlog of people without employment. What remains in Mexico at present, through the effort of these 5 years of employment, is what we might call the unemployable. People in the country, the peasants, who work only 3 or 4 months a year for the period of the crops, and after that they have no other work until the next cycle comes. These people only want jobs of a very temporary nature, which is no good for industry or for other activities, for commerce. They need people for longer periods of time, especially in a country that has no specific geographic season. So inflation has been a result of that. And the last measures taken by the government is to reduce the speed of economy that we were having. And instead of trying to have a GNP of 7 to 8%, reduce it to barely 4%, reduce the government expenditures in order to bring down inflation. However, this is not going to take place in 1 year or 2. That's more or less yes, sir.
Mr. Ambassador, with complete respect, I know that the Mexican slogan in modern times has been self-determination, non-intervention. And from my point of view, I've often felt that this has not been applied on a unilateral basis, but been applied to the U.S. and ignored with regard to Cuba and Russia, particularly concerning Central America. Could you just comment on that, please?
Well, I think I made a very small point by presentation here. We only hear about Reagan nationally. Perhaps your perception is very sensitive in that respect. Perhaps we have also been lax in our declarations. Do not balance out the intervention. I made it a point here to present that, yes, I'm sure that the intervention from the problem but again, this is the intervention of the big power itself. It also is to be from other areas of the world to your national interest. So it was to be expected that if there is an opening in Central America where the Soviets can gain some influence, just as you are trying to exploit some opening in Angola, for example. It's not India. So it's the world of the thing. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Just, I never hear President Lopez Portillo or any member of the Mexican government talking about the Cuban or the Russian intervention in Central America. I do hear quite a bit about them talking about the U.S. intervention. And it just seems to me that
I think what they have done.
I don't see what you mean.
Well, I have a series of quotes from the various presidents. I think they go time to find. I mean, it's about topic. I mean, you have to do much
Do you or President Portillo or any of the people in the Mexican government have any evidence or reason to believe that the Sonoran backed elements on Honduras and Miami are exerting any influence on the American government?
No, not necessarily. And I don't suppose that we have the means to do that. We have no sort of central service around stop Congress and so on. So at the end of the day, that's almost agree that we should do that level. However, I mean, I mean, there's almost Americans, the growing media in these days, don't deny this fact. They are the first to emphasize that it's something they are selling, famous, they are. So, and not only that, again, here, we have to consider other factors. This is the perception that Nicaragua has. I mean, Nicaragua has the perception that the United States is on the brink of attacking. They have the historic experiences. We know here perfectly well that we see no preparation for the United States sending a battalion of Marines. I mean, we know that this is not possible. But they do not know. They are over there. They are saying, I mean, what they did in the press. Washington Post. Reagan gives the go-ahead to the covert operations to invade Nicaragua and change to destabilize the country. Well, obviously, they immediately say that, my God, they're preparing to come and take the power. So where is this up?
That's not the Mexican government's position.
No. Yes.
I'd like to change channels and ask the question about internal politics.
About what? Sorry?
Internal politics.
Internal politics.
Yes.
God, this is a change. We've got to stand the broadcast.
So I know that there is a presidential election coming up.
That's right.
There have been reports that there's some opposition this time to PRI.
Oh, yes, actually, there are 500 parties, there are 500 candidates, some of them want to be on the elected group.
Can you comment on whether you feel this is opposition? I mean, these candidates have a chance to win. Will this change the political pressure in the
Yes, although let's put it this way. I suppose we're facing what must have been the Pendergast machine in Chicago. That's because on some reformers in the government see from that point of view, I say no. We have a very strong machinery. Very well oiled and works very well. That in the area where my ex-boss is fighting now, seats for the Senate or seats for the Chamber of Deputies, the equivalent of your House of Representatives, there we may see some surprises. Probably not too pleasant, but yes, it is. That is in fact, the whole policy of the president is also ruled by the effects of the opposition. I mean, he cannot do entirely what the PRI would like to. He still has to get a certain amount of consensus on the part of the opposition, which has slightly more than 100 deputies in the chamber of 400, and in the municipal and mayors throughout the country, I mean, there's 700, you know. Okay. Yes, sir.
There is a right-wing coalition which eliminates the Margain party. Do you think that that would be one of the next steps?
Well, we would like to start. And it's one of the things that we have feared, and this is one of the reasons why we have sort of rooted, we have negotiations before the elections, not to give the guerrillas or the radical parties position in government, but actually to have had some elections where they could all participate peacefully without being afraid of being either killed or put in jail. That would have brought a little wider spectrum of political groups in El Salvador, rather than throwing Mr. Duarte as the extreme left of the spectrum. And he is the man who this administration can to back it because he's bringing political reforms and social reforms in the country. This is the big question mark now. What? He's a communist from the point of view of the Arena groups and the other parties. He's the bad guy, not the guys who are fighting outside. Those are probably going to be destroyed by the army. So, I mean, this is an entirely different situation now, which is very difficult. And I think what we have to do is just wait for a few days to see how this thing is settling. Let the dust settle. Does that answer the question? I mean, as much as you can. Yes, sir.
The American press is seeing the election as a see it that way.
I see it as a great effort on the part of the Salvadorians to bring, to try and bring stability to their country and try to find a solution, a political solution. It was very unfortunate that some of these other factions were not thrown in, as we see now, and we see that the moderate is actually the minority.
Do you think it's possible that people voted because they were afraid not to vote, because people were not voting because they were afraid to vote?
I don't think so. I mean, it was very difficult to control whether you voted or didn't vote. I mean, you can always say that you voted. And what? I mean, there was no outward sign of anything except for that in this name. They have to go around with a ultraviolet light to check the things. That sounds like real funny. Yes, it is. It's a difficult, well, within our social structure, there are many areas, especially in some of the big agricultural establishments. You have either good employers and bad employers. In our social structure, all these people who are in some cases still and all that are actually only rewarded and only. And to them, this is their social security. This is their way in which if they get into trouble, they have things happening to them, they can always go back to the patron. And the patron has a similar relationship of having to care for them. He's not going to care for them, sending them to the best hospital in the United States if they have an operation. But he's going to provide for them to bring the doctor, the doctor, the medicine, the prayers, and the supplies, there was help provided. And this is, and there's nothing, and that is something. And to the eyes of these people again, so you have a good patron, a man who's kind, within limits, considering that they are hidden figures. Consequently, they should be there because they were born that way, and this is the way God decided that they should be. And consequently, it's going to be something. But there is a relation, even in my country, which is more evolved in that sense, and where, although we have brought about a lot of social mobility, we still have many structural inequalities and differences that have not yet been resolved. You'll find, if you live in, for example, in Mexico City, and you take a maid, you're going to find two things can happen. Either the maid adopts you, has a family who's going to solve her problems, or she's going to just going to work for you, but she might do little work and things for a neighbor who she likes and adopt that person as the sort of godparent. It's pretty much within the context of the godparent. Yes, sir.
Well, don't you think that this highlights the reality in the situation? That on the one hand you have the right wing that absolutely refuses to budge and will tolerate no hint even of agrarian reform. On the other hand, you have the leftists, the guerrillas, who are not interested in bettering the lot of the people, but they're interested in power. Now, how are you going to negotiate with them?
I would say this. I mean, the guerrillas, I would judge that a large proportion are probably, as you say, interested in power and running things. On the other hand, I'm sure also that you're going to have some, a good number of idealists in that area, and mostly youngsters. I don't know whether this holds true in this country, but in my country, we all go through being communists sometime in our development. By the time we're 18 at university, God, I mean, we salute with the clenched fist, and we are for the underdog and against the filthy capitalists and filthy lucre and all that sort of thing. Once we grow and we start making a little lucre and all that sort of thing, we get attached to it.
But this is exactly what happened in Nicaragua, isn't it? They came to power, and now the people are worse off than they were before.
this is, your statement is very bold in that sense. I don't think they're worse off. Problem. I mean, they're having a devil of a time because, I mean, they have no resources of economic help at all. I mean, they have to be on their own. But I wouldn't say that they're worse off. It's just like trying to say the Cubans, for example, are very bad. Well, they have resolved many problems that they have not created a possibility for some people to reach tremendous heights of position and wealth, granted. That they have created some other type of class society, granted. But that by and large, the majority of the people and the poor people now have education, medical services, housing, even if it's not of the best kind. It is true, contrary to the situation they had before.
But the regimentation is much more than
Absolutely. I mean, this is one, and you pay something for another. I mean, they're paying for these material things for their freedom, obviously. But, sir, I see that you were one of these Jarmutas.
Yes.
It's interesting to read, for example, that many of the immigrants, or emigrants, I should say, from Russia that go to Israel seem to have a devil of a time accommodating to a free society. They are used to being wards of the state. They are used of having the state taking care of them and telling them what to do. And many of them go back to Russia. How can you explain that?
Not many, some. But not many, but some. As a matter of fact, though, they don't have that much difficulty. They are the ones who are supporting the right in Israel, because they want nothing whatsoever to do with anything that smacks of Marxism. They've had enough of that.
Well, my reading must be a little slanted then. Yes, sir.
I want to return to the question of economics in Mexico.
Yes, sir.
It is my impression that transportation, that is commercial transportation in Mexico, is still quite behind the times. We hear of endless delays in bringing goods into primarily Mexico City. Is anything being done to alleviate that?
Many things are being done, but let me just put an example to you what has happened in Mexico. For example, in 1975, our foreign trade was in the order of about $5 billion. 1976, remained just about the same. At present, last year, our foreign trade was $40 billion. Now, in 5 years, there's been such a tremendous increase in economic activity, and that needs and brings about the necessity of transportation and that. But what you have here is just bottlenecks, because you cannot build railways, roads, increase the number of trucks and things at that speed. And this is the consequence that we have to make. It's a matter of growing too fast and not having enough time to produce the infrastructure. Yes, sir.
How significant is the race factor in the Mexican-US relationship?
How significant is what, sir?
Race.
Race.
Yeah.
Race. Well, it is significant. It is significant in the sense that Hispanics complain about discrimination. But there probably is discrimination. It may be racial discrimination, or it may be social discrimination. There's the tourism, that they usually are in the lower scales of economic, the lower economic scales of the country. Consequently, some people don't want to mix with. And color is one of the flags that calls attention to that social position. I don't think that per se, as such, if you could isolate it, there would be that discrimination. Now, I'll tell you why, because in many instances, if you go to schools, we have many Mexican nationals who have the means and the money, and who have the coloring, the dark coloring of the stereotype. And yet, there's no problem there. There seems to be among their peers, regardless of the color. I think it's rather social discrimination, and the color is an indicator of that position. We have it at home in Mexico. Yes, sir.
I'd like very much to hear your comment on the position of the President of the Secretary of but I'd like to go out to people comment on this Thanksgiving was based on recent elections. Not only good, but hard for the last country so when you see what's helping people out the most, as a position, the life, and then looking at the gorillas, looking at the buses, knocking out the bus, and then listening to the news across the people looking at this and to see how the elections went on. And these people were really not able to observe the government putting candidates or about the party, anything like that. People like President University, Kansas, for example, UCLA, and so forth. People are all encouraged and see how people socioeconomic when out of the rate expressed to the only country that goes to the world, how it is done. Now, it's so great. And then you notice that Mexican government is position the impression that to take from other people to campaign and take part in the realistic systematic and practical way of studying South ignoring what people want. After all, if people go out and those least developed nations just like you, it seems to me
I got your point.
Let's make it what people want.
I got your point. Now, you allow me a few minutes to answer.
After all, really, but never to their friends. They knew these guys in the bus were going to work for them. They wouldn't blow them out. So, that really indicates that human beings
Yeah. There is a misunderstanding. President Lopez Portillo has not asked that negotiations need to be conducted by asking the Cubans, the Nicaraguans, the Salvadorans, all of them get around the big table with the United States to start working out those questions. Mexico has proposed that Cuba like negotiate with the United States, and Cuba and the United States. And no, we are getting into Nicaragua, getting into El Salvador. That Nicaragua wants to negotiate with the United States, and that is the United States and Nicaragua. In that case, what Nicaragua does desire is for its bordering countries to also come and negotiate with non-aggression pacts. And a non-aggression pact with the United States, because they have a perception that they're going to be invaded by the United States. And the United States says, listen, we're not going to invade you, and here is something to prove it. I sign here on the dotted line, and you sign here, and they agree and shake it. Then they're going to consider that they're not going to be invaded. And that's it. And then there is El Salvador, and what has been proposed for El Salvador is that the guerrillas start talks with the Salvadoran government. And it was expected that before the election that they should get together and decide on how to they stop warring, what guarantees do they have to be able to campaign in El Salvador in order to have elections where everybody could concur. This is what was proposed. This is what was not accepted, at least in the part of El Salvador. It was accepted is elections first, talking after. Now, what is going to happen? Sure. Elections have been won by Trump. There's been an enormous show of people going to the polls and voting, which is an indication that they want to find a political solution to their problem. In fact, from what I read this morning in the paper, they had 1,030,901 votes, having counted only 85% of the total vote. If you project that, that is 1,212,000 or 213,000 voters, which out of the potential that they said that in El Salvador they estimated the number of eligible voters between 1 million and 1.5 million is a devil of the law. By any means and by any fact. It sounds almost like the behind the iron curtain election practically, where 99.3% go to the voting machine. So obviously, it is a big show. But now what? The war's still on. Something's going to have to happen to stop the wars. And what is it? We don't know. Are they going to negotiate now with the guerrillas? Then I would say that what Mr. Anders had been saying all along, that the guerrillas want to position in government without having gone to the polls, well, this is what they're going to get. If you negotiate now. If you had negotiated before, they would have had to fight for their vote.
When they go to government, you make remark that the one thing absolutely guaranteed for the United States government, not something suitable written on a piece of paper, that you're not going to protect. If the people governing the Venezuelan government and Nicaragua are really involved with the county and the state, reasonable support their own people. Khomeini has to be known. That's different, not bother Iran, but two people hostage for 2 days. And everybody knew touching Iran was just out of fire, they just knock it off.
Look,
so if they're not reasonably contact their own people's support, they can't just go around and brag about, I want to make sure you don't attack me.
No.
You know, if they're comfortable with their own people, why should you worry about the people big around the United States?
Because their history is full of Marines landing in their country, which Iran hasn't had. Consequently, the perception of Iran is that the United States is very far away, that they would have a hell of a time trying to invade them, and that in the aid of Allah, they could defeat it. In our case, or in the case of Nicaragua and Managua, they know that there is no help, that they would get the providence to stop the Marines once they land. Yes, sir.
about sending arms to those houses. Cuba, Russia through Cuba, about sending arms to all houses. They're going to have to fight the sugar cane.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be the fairly simple answer?
Well, I would dare say, sir, that the arms that the guerrillas have apparently are not that many or that powerful and all that, since they were not able to disrupt the election. I think there's been something inflated beyond the actual size. Yes, sir.
I may ask some questions. If indeed 1.2 million people, 60% are from the Gulf, which is over 720, it's probably 720,000.
There was a certain percentage that was notified in the ballots. There's about 10 or 11%. So there were about 10 or 11% that were notified votes because of bad news. Either because they didn't write it correctly or because they filled in all of the parties and things like that.
Yes, but in terms of simple arithmetic,
Yeah.
it looks like close to 50% and more than 50% of the potential voters have voted for the right. And that's leaving a fraction of voters not having voted at all. And if indeed the votes for Christian Democrats were essentially Christian Democrat votes rather than Marxist votes, what is left in that population of Democratic election for the left is very small indeed.
Well, it's 300,000 people, roughly, perhaps.
If that's true. Of course, there's some problems in the simple arithmetic position. But if that's true, the slice of Democratic support for the left is relatively small. And the support, the power of the left, clearly, the reforms that they want, is to be achieved or maximized through armed struggle. If that's the case, your government has taken the position that the left is to be recognized in their legitimate approach to social reform. Even those statistics would suggest it's a minority. And the position of negotiators prior to the elections would have tended to magnify the power and support of the left. It appears, just superficially, it appears as if there's a kind of accommodation with armed struggle as an approach, which is in tension with a democratic approach. If those things are possibly correct, what is the thinking behind your government's position which justifies that accommodation, if you will, or practical adjustment to the phenomenon of armed struggle?
The thinking is very simple. I mean, we have made Mr. Duarte the extreme bet. And he is the one who is mainly about reforms. We don't know what the composition of the guerrillas is as far as moderates and extremists. But if Duarte had been able to gain 5 or 10 points out of that section, then we would have had a center and the extremes. Now we have the extreme, rather big, Duarte, and the other extreme. And then some people around warring around and creating a nuisance of control.
Do you think that was at all feasible to expect the left, seeing that position, that by participating they would have merely established Duarte as the effective center? They saw that as well as your government, they haven't been incentive to participate.
Well, much of it depends. They took the position that they had to fight against the army. And once you go into that situation, it's very difficult to close the arms and say, now I want to play on the voting table. How can you do it? I mean, the thing that will happen to them is what has happened, for example, in Guatemala with the moderates and the Christian Democrats. All of their leaders have been killed off slowly. So there's actually no leadership in the area of moderates and left-leaning. Well, the left-leaning usually they have a leader because they simply get out and go into the woods and into the jungle and hide. But the other fellows remain in the city trying to play the game according to the democratic rules. And what has happened to them has been that they've been wiped out entirely. So, for example, in Guatemala right now, after the coup, again, this is another one of these problems that require a few days clearing to see what's going on, because it's absolutely an unknown. I don't know whether.
Is there any evidence?
I'm sorry, sir.
What about the Democratic left in Chile? What happened to them? They were on the root of elections.
I'm not taking a position. I merely wanted to hear the
Well, I would
Mexican
like to ask
position
you
on
about the question of Chile.
Sorry.
The question of Chile, when there was a Democratic leftist party, they tried to take power. The Democratic Union formed a coalition with 37 votes. Whatever it was. Whatever it was. I'm not even.
Yes, I mean, yes, you're sending the example. Sure, they tried to get the same thing. But of course, I mean, they went about also that they had a total mandate to do that. They only had to do that. Also, they would polarize the opposition and brought their own downfall, especially through the economic bad planning on an area. That can be deadly.
Well, the example was in the work of the world division.
Yeah, right. That's right. There was a young lady over there. Yes. All right. This is a very good one. This is a very good one. The OAS, we had a resounding defeat in St. Lucia at the OAS. When it came to voting for the resolution about the elections and all that, which we had to vote against for the reason that we were promoting a negotiation rather than the election first and negotiation afterwards. Everybody voted for the election first. And actually only 3 countries voted against it. And we have these fantastic alliance of the Mexicans that I represent. And the big 3 trying to so that means that anything that we might bring to the OAS was already indicated that we were totally outward to the rest of the people, or the rest of the people are touching us, or the rest of the people being most of the country very righteous.
Is there any evidence at all that the guerrillas would have participated in the election under any circumstances?
They wanted in our first steps to try and bring about a solution for the guerrillas, and they were willing to actually have people mediate and have meetings with the government of El Salvador to find out, how it could be guaranteed, freedom of movement and campaign in order to do things. But that was never achieved. So this is the only, this is as far as we know that they were willing. Yes, sir. I think I'll be the last one. Let's see people already.
reality. And I'd like to ask you a question about Mexican oil policy. You might outline the direction of that policy, the production and sale of certain kinds of the United States, and given the desire to curb inflation on one hand, slow down the economy, and yet keep full employment.
Well, we're going to try and continue the exploitation of the platform of oil. I mean, as high as the market is the market. So rather than getting up to $2.5 million barrels a day, come up to about 2.3. Now, there is the possibility that even though we are reducing our rate of growth to only about 4%, still that requires, and this is going to be an increase in the energy needs in our country, especially if we want industry to grow at rate of about 10% to achieve jobs. So some of the slack that is there might be taken up by our own industry. As far as gas is concerned, well, it seems that nobody cares much about gas. There's lots of we never had a big commitment to provide gas to the United States. I mean, that fell through back in 2007. And we have this 342 feet, and that we're going to increase. I think we have already increased about 450 feet. And apparently, the buyers of gas don't need more, except in a year's time, another 100 or 200 cubic feet, which is practically nothing.
Everyone shares the view that certainly was a series of balanced and thoughtful comments on a wide variety of questions, and I certainly think it was stimulating. We're very appreciative of you sharing your time with us this evening, coming to Washington, and at the last minute so eloquently and well